Welcome to Your Vibrant Life podcast with me, Alison Stockton, the founder of Vibrant Balanced Health, health and wellness expert, and author of best-selling book, The Woman I Am Becoming. Thank you so much for joining on this podcast, where we will be sharing every week top tips, tricks, and inspiration of how you too can live your most vibrant life. Stepping into areas of personal development, self-love, self-appreciation, spirituality, and becoming the best version of yourself and living your most vibrant life. We're going to share with you steps and advice on health, spirituality, self-love, self-care, self-worth, and how to grow into the most incredible woman that you've always desired to be. This is a space for women to learn, to grow, and to live their healthiest, happiest life with women who are here ready to support you. We are so happy to welcome you here. And if you feel so called to, please do leave a comment at the end of the show to let us know that you've enjoyed it, share it with a friend or two, and inspire somebody today to live their best life and to learn to love the life that they live. We are so grateful for you being here, and we wish you the most incredible journey into living your most vibrant life. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode where I have the incredible Angeli, who is based all the way out in Boston in the US of A. And Angela is the founder of Azur Jewellery, which is an incredible brand that has been developed and designed to inspire and connect women together to create greater influence in the world. And she is so passionate about sourcing all of her materials ethically and finding the gemstones and really looking to help people in a local area in New Jersey, which is not that far from New York, right? And Angela, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Alison.
It's so great to talk to you right now. And what time are you on right now?
Right now it's 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
the morning. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm coming at you from Austria in Vienna, where we are 4 in the afternoon. So what a great way to finish our day today. So I am, obviously, we have chatted before, and I just love everything that you're doing and the influence that you're having in the world and the impact that you are creating for women right now. And I know that that journey to get to where you are hasn't always been easy, but obviously the story that you're going to share with us really does bring to light how important it is to live your truth and your purpose. So Angeli and I have spoken in the past about how it was for her growing up. Now, do you want to explain to everybody, because Angela Lee, you are Chinese, and you grew up in China and are now living in America, and you are doing some incredible things, but it wasn't always that easy. So I'd love for you to just kind of share with our listeners, how it was for you.
Yeah, sure, totally. So I was born to a family that was politically persecuted by Chinese communist government for over a decade. Mm-hmm. And we have experienced firsthand of terror of Cultural Revolution. For those who are on the podcast, Cultural Revolution was the most notorious movement in China's history. It lasted over a decade, and its goal is to preserve Chinese communism by purging remnants of capitalists and intellectuals from the society. Mm-hmm. So the capitalists and intellectuals are those defined as, who have received higher education, who went to college, the professors, teachers, scientists, and also those who own their own business and who doesn't belong to the Communist Party. So basically, everybody beyond the Communist Party is being, persecuted in that way.
And that was part of your family, right? Your family was educated at that time. And
my family especially, they're the biggest target of the whole movement, because my grandpa was the financial minister of old China. He mm-hmm. is nationalist. He's not communist. And my mm-hmm. grandma was the daughter of Chinese ambassador to Japan. So we are also the relatives of first president of Taiwan, who is the chairman of the Nationalist Party. And both of my grandparents are highly educated. They received their master degrees in Japan. So we inevitably become the target of this whole movement. And this whole movement is, as a result, it's like 2 million people were killed or driven to suicide.
Wow, that is just, that in itself is just really, when you say those figures, and
2 million, 2 million people. It's
that's
literally
part of the family.
It's crippled like Chinese whole economy to a very significant degree. And interesting thing is that 10 years later, Cambodia followed the path of Chinese to preserve their communism, and they killed 2 million people in their country too, which represents 25% of their whole population. So that is just how crazy that what people would do to just preserve their own power.
Yeah, it is just crazy. And, you know, the fact that your family has been through that is kind of, it's hard to kind of put yourself in that situation and understand it. So that was your grandparents, you know, growing up. So how did that affect your parents?
So my parents was also part of this, target in the whole movement. So all of our assets were being taken away. My grandparents, my grandpa was in prison. My grandma she was such a gorgeous woman. They shaved her long hair to bald in a public demonstration in front of thousands of people. So she was terribly humiliated. And she couldn't handle it. She just paralyzed right after and soon passed away. My parents were also tortured, interrogated, and exiled to one of the poorest land in China. So that is where I was grown up. And it was a very dark time just for the whole family. So when I grown up, I was just taught to put my head down, don't voice any opinion, be still and try to fit in.
Yeah, I remember we spoke about that. And that's, you know, that's a massive impact on a child of your age. And obviously knowing that culture and that heritage that you have, being told to just put your head down and just kind of shut up and deal with things and don't have a voice. You're not allowed to have your own voice.
Yeah, back then to do so was to just save our lives, you know. So until 1991, when I was 7, my family case was redressed after my dad wrote over like 1,000 letters to the government. So it was right the wrong moment. And finally that I can go to school just like other kids. And my parents are able to, you know, start working.
So that you could go to school. Were you not allowed to go to school then at that time?
Before that time, yes. I wasn't allowed to go to school. So how old were you when you actually managed to get into education? That was when I was 7. Back then, I think it was 1 year late compared to other kids, but it wasn't too bad. Usually in China, kids start going to school when they were 6.
Yeah, okay. So you weren't so bad. You didn't miss out on too much. So you were able to kind of make up that time.
Yes, I was very blessed. So it was only 1 year difference.
Okay. So going to school then, what was that like for you when that happened?
So, and then I decided to major in chemistry back then. And then I went to college, which is far away from my parents. So it was, I think I remember that time I was very insecure. I was very meek, and I was trying really hard to work for, you know, getting all the different part-time jobs so that I can provide for myself. I can support myself through the college. So, and when junior year, we were all required to interview to get a job upon graduation. I was so eager to get an offer from a prestigious firm so that I can really make some money and provide for my family. But it was so hard. I was like, I really like struggled to find my footing in this like very competitive world. Before my first interview, my mom actually gifted me a pair of earrings. And it was white topaz gemstone in the center and enclosed by 6 black spinels. Looks like a blooming flowers. I remember I put them on, I was like, wow, like instantly I felt like so special, and I feel empowered. So
And was that the first kind of piece of jewelry you'd been given at that time in your life?
Yes, that was the first piece of jewelry that I've ever owned. I still have it today.
Because I know you and I know this, but for those that are listening don't, when we speak about everything being taken away from your family, everything had been taken away, including family jewelry. So nothing was available to even pass down to you from your grandparents or your mother or anything at that time, was there?
Yeah, nothing. We don't even have clothes. Like I remember while I was a kid that all my clothes are from neighbors,
Yeah. So to have that at that time, so you're 18 years old and you're presented with this gift, and it was kind of a gift of luck because your mum wanted you to do so well to step into that interview and really to nail that interview for your job, your first job.
Yes, absolutely. So it was really a moment of empowerment. And that's how I fall in love with the jewelry, especially those with a story behind them.
Yeah. So what happened then when you got that job?
So I was super lucky. I was blessed and got that job. It was a global top 500 company called Dow Chemical. It's like the largest chemical manufacturing company in the world. They headquartered in Michigan, the US.
Okay.
So I worked as a chemical engineer for the first year.
In China,
in Shanghai. And then I decided to switch to a sales role later on. It was a very successful career. I was actually one of the youngest global top 10 salesperson and managed over like $50 million business across whole Asia.
Well done. That's from coming from that background and knowing that you needed to do so much more in your family and in your life. So, kudos to you for really stepping in, because coming from that place where there's been so much lack, sometimes you can have the mentality, it's either this is my life or no, I actually really need to change my life and to make impact. And you did it for your family.
Yeah, that was a lot of drive to, just to provide for the family.
Yeah. Amazing. And so that was that job, and you did extremely well and moved forward. What was it like for you kind of with your mindset at that point? Because it's big changes going from, that small town that you grew up in to that big corporate world. How were your coping mechanisms?
So yes, growing, it is very different environment. I think it took a lot of time for me to really adjust, but constantly, I constantly having anxiety and fears. But one thing is that I know that I need to put myself out there and really work hard so that I can change the situation. So a lot of the intention and drive coming from that, I don't want to live like this anymore. I have to step out and stand up and to do something different.
Amazing. So when you started in that job, how long did it take you to step into that sales career and then move on from there?
I was only as a chemical engineer for a year. So I decided to switch to a sales role. It's because sales is just making more money. It is commission based.
Okay. So, but you've got to be good at it. You've got to be good at it. Otherwise, you're not going to change your lifestyle, are you? If you're no good at sales, then you're no good at sales.
Yeah, I was good at it, but it takes so much efforts from my side because I'm an introvert. I need to, I get a lot, time for myself. That is how I recharge and recover. So I always felt like sales job isn't really meant for me.
Yeah, that is the reason. As an introvert, going into sales is really quite difficult. I know for me, it was always very difficult to do sales when I was in my hotel career, and I was a sales and events manager, and it was like, I hate putting myself out there.
Yeah, I know, right? It is so hard. It is really hard. So that was the reason that I decided to, what am I going to do with my future? I can be in the sales role forever. So I decided to apply for MBA and come to the US and see if there is any other opportunities.
Wow. What made you, coming from that, small town, everyone thinks China is huge, and it is huge, but you grew up in a really quite small, close-knit town. Then you've obviously gone to Shanghai to do that role. What was it that made you think, okay, America is the next step for me?
I think back then, I wasn't having too much concern. First of all, is because I really don't have much to lose. Right. And then, I also don't want to hold on to my past, which doesn't give me much, good memory of. So,
but that's amazing. I just want to touch on that quickly, because that's what so many people do, isn't it? They hold on to the past because they're afraid of the future. But you knowing that at that age, and how old were you then? 21, 22?
No, I was, back then I was already working for 5 years. So I was 27.
Okay, so 27. So, but even then, to know that you didn't want to live in the past is really it's a huge step. It's a huge step for many people to take. So, amazing that you did that.
Thank you. It is a huge step. I think back then I was just so much focused on the possibilities that the future could bring to me.
Yeah.
I think naturally I'm still an optimistic person.
I think you have to be, though. I think if you lose optimism, then you stay in pessimism and negativity, and you stay in fear. So, I think you knew that there was so much more because, well, your family had already had more before. So I guess you kind of knew deep down that, okay, politically, you can't change everything overnight, but personally, then you could for you and your family. Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. So you applied for uni in America, and then
I got in. I took on a huge student loan.
Yeah.
And then I carried that pair of earrings with me, and I get on a flight, and here I am.
So you took the pair of earrings with you that your mum had bought, and what impact did they have on you, like from there to now, knowing that you felt empowered when you put them in your ears, and you were ready for that interview, and you went for that interview, and you got the job?
I think that pairs of earrings always remind me of the fact that we can own our journeys, that I can create my future. There is
just so symbolic, from just a simple pair of earrings that's changed your trajectory of life. But we've skipped a little bit. We've skipped way far forward because what happened in university, because you went to university, and then how was that? New city, new culture, new experiences, everyone speaking English. How was that?
You mean the MBA program in the US?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very different experience. It was, I met so many brilliant, smart people from all over the world, different backgrounds. And it was eye-opening, because we definitely had a lot culture shock. It was, it took a lot of time for me to really adjust, because culture and language wise, I think Chinese is just fundamentally different from the rest of the world. But it's such a new experience for me.
Tell me about what you mean there, because I know from my experience, Chinese culture is very close-knit. It's very family orientated. You spend a lot of time together. Is that right? Am I right? Or
yes.
Yeah. So
that's why even at this moment, you see around the world, Chinese are actually clustered together, right? Because they have their own community, they have their own belief systems, their own culture, their family. It's very family oriented.
And they've created their tribe, and that's why in Asia as well. Switching it a little bit, there is a lot less illness because there is a lot less loneliness.
Yeah, that is so true. I love that.
It's fact. It's kind of, there is blue zone studies done, and the Asian community and Italians and Europeans, it's very, very much, they're drawn together for family meals, for events. It's very, very much about community and tribe and collaboration over competition, whereas the rest of the world has kind of forgotten about that and lost it. So yeah, sorry, we've flipped on that completely, but it's so, so important because, you've gone to America, you're on your own, you're 26, 27 years old, into university, which is massive amounts of people, which, probably no one will ever remember your name or even what you looked like if they saw you again. So huge, huge changes. So what was your coping mechanisms during that time?
It was so difficult, I remember, because I don't know anybody, right? I don't have families close by. I don't have the friends that I used to hang out with all the time. That everybody speak a different language to me. I remember the first several months, I don't think I can even understand what people are talking about.
Really? So how was your English? How was your English before you moved?
It was bad, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I get to the US. I was like, oh my gosh, that I don't understand what people are talking. I don't understand what are the news about. I remember that MBA is a very intensive program for 2 years. Like our homework is like 120 pages reading of different case studies, and we have to write essays. I was so slow and so behind on everything because I just couldn't read as fast. I wasn't reading Chinese, I was reading English. And there are so many different words that I don't know about. So it was a very, very difficult time, but it is such a great intensive training for me. It's like a boot camp.
It's funny you say that, because I've got, obviously being here in Austria, it's German speaking. And there are so many international students that come, and they'd say one of the biggest challenges they have to overcome first is, trying to learn the language to enable them to understand the course modules. Otherwise it's stuck. And I guess for English speaking, whether it's America, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Canada, English is spoken so much around the world that the English speakers are less able to learn new languages than foreigners.
Oh yeah, I also realized that. Funny that you mentioned.
Yeah, so well done you for even doing that. So you're 2 years in university, you're on your own, you don't know anybody. Again, what did you do to enable you to really integrate in that time?
So I think a lot, like I really just have to step out of my comfort zone and being proactive.
When you say comfort, what did you mean in your comfort zone? Like,
it's always much more comfort to just stay with your own kind. You know what I mean? Like there are other Chinese students that I can just hang out with.
Okay.
But instead, I indeed hang out with them, but a lot of time I will have to push myself out there to make new friends, new connections, people from America, people from different backgrounds, to, form a team and work on all the different cases, on the different, study assignments. So that is the time that I just completely realize cultural and language barriers are something hard to overcome. But once you do that, you just create your new normal. So now I have a lot of friends that I'm very comfortable, like going out and, hang out with different people and engage different situations. Back then, I remember how insecure it was. Like all over again, I experienced that insecurity deep rooted in my heart.
Yeah, and it's, it is super duper hard because not only being an introvert, but then being an expat in a new country. And I know because I totally feel it. I've kind of been an expat, even though I was sometimes in British speaking, English speaking countries, it's still really hard because when you're moving to different countries, they might be French or they've been German, Austrian, or they've been, when we lived in the UAE, there was people from all over the world. And it is really easy to go with your crowd so that you would end up just speaking Chinese or, with people who get your culture, but it is pushing yourself out of that boundary and starting to communicate and connect with other people that help you to grow as a person as well.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So you got the MBA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then what happened? What did you do?
I got the MBA. I was really lucky because while I was looking for jobs, that was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the economic crash still continue. The unemployment rate was 9%, which is a historical high.
Wow.
But I was lucky enough to land it 2 offers from Wall Street.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah, it is like a miracle because back then I was looking at all the bankers coming out of that revolving door with their box in their hands that they just get laid off. And a bunch of people with a finance background couldn't even find a job. So, and especially, it is especially hard for international students because companies have to sponsor your work visa.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because you're there without a visa.
Yeah, which is like 10K extra cost.
So your visa already stops the second that you finished and you've graduated.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we were on the student visa back then, right?
Yeah.
And once you graduate, you have to be on a work visa. Otherwise, you will become illegal.
So do you have to pay that, or does the company have to pay that?
The company has to pay that. But back then it was like 95% of the companies, they don't sponsor international students just because Americans can't even find jobs.
Yeah.
So it was like 5% of the companies. Very, very harsh environment.
Wow. But you got the job. You got a job and you were able to stay.
Yeah, I was really lucky. So that is the beginning of my 6 years journey on Wall Street. I did private equity, I did hedge fund, and did private wealth management.
That's incredible. So at that young age, having that degree and, earning incredible amounts of money from that kind of role was such a huge difference to your upbringing.
Yeah, I was really happy. I realized that my salary all of a sudden just 8 times more. It was a great experience. I was like, hey, finally I passed the survival mode.
Amazing. So what would, when you were earning that kind of money after earning very little, because we haven't shared this, but I remember you saying when you were in China, you were earning like $300 a month to try and help your family and put food on the table.
Yes. While I was interning. Yeah. While I was in college, yes, I was earning $300 a month.
And trying to save as well to get to university at a later stage. So,
yes.
Wow. And, how has that impacted your family back in China now from that progression that you had during that time?
So everybody in my family definitely feels so much more secure because we were constantly worried what we can bring to the table every single day, what we're going to eat, what's going to happen to us the very next day. So, all the situation is getting better.
Good. That's so great to hear that your family are more secure now. And then, okay, so we kind of, you've done that. You've helped your family out. They're all feeling incredible. You are like tremendously, I don't want to say the word lucky because I don't think it's lucky that you get the position that you're meant to get. I think it's just destiny. So from that, at what point did you think, okay, this is not my passion anymore. I'm just not feeling it. I've done all this education. I'm in this job, but I'm just not getting the vibe.
It was actually happened pretty fast. I think into the industry 2 or 3 years, I realized that this is not what I want. I literally feel that I'm dying a slow death. It's very hard to find meanings and purpose in what I do.
Yeah.
And I also hit a plateau of learning and growing. I think I wasn't on a path that aligning with who I am. I couldn't just find my true north. And my personal value. That's what I realized at the beginning. The first 2 to 3 years, I think it was my problem. It was the company. So I tried to switch my roles from, private equity to hedge fund, and eventually into private wealth management. But then I realized it's actually maybe not me. It's probably the industry.
Yeah.
I think my personal value doesn't really align with the value of the Wall Street.
So, I know in London it's still quite male dominated in that environment. Is it the same in New York, or was there a more feminine influence?
It is very male dominated.
So you were surrounded by men most of the time. Did you feel that you were constantly having to be in competition with them?
I have to say probably around 80 to 85%. The people on the team, male. I don't feel that I have to be in competition with them. But what I really feel is more about the meaning and value of the job that it really created to the world. So that is what I'm struggling with.
So you didn't feel that you were just living your purpose?
Yeah, I don't feel that I was living my purpose. I don't feel that is myself. Like, I started having Monday syndrome.
Oh, okay. I was just going to ask you, how was it? Because
I've never had it in my life.
Many, many women in corporate who I've spoken to, who were doing the recordings for the episodes of the show. And they're like, oh my gosh, just being in that environment. It was like, I was hating going on a Monday. And you've just said it, that Monday syndrome.
What was it? To go to work.
Oh yeah. What was it doing to your morale and your physicality?
So at the beginning, I think I was able to fight it, just stay positive. But eventually, I think if you are in that environment long enough, everything starts seeping into your skin. That is slowly and slowly. It's like cooking a frog, right? That if it's really boiling water, the frog is just going to jump out. But if you slowly heating the water to warm and slowly heating it to hot, that the frog is just getting accustomed to it. So I really felt like the whole experience to me is like, I'm cooking a frog.
And going back to your heritage and your culture, do you think that any part of it was what you were told as a child? Get your head down, do what you're meant to do, and just do it well, and don't speak up.
Yes, I think that is a lot of what I was being taught. But through the business school experience, I was actually encouraged to just stand up and speak my opinion. That's how you get scores in the classes in the US, right?
Yeah.
You have to really voice your opinions and to contribute to the teamwork so that you can pass the test. So that was actually a very good 2-year training ground for me.
How did that make you feel? Were you feeling empowered by being able to do that?
I feel freed. Like, really? It's a sense of freedom because in China, we had, even until today, people don't really have the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Whatever you're saying, whatever you put online, whatever in the public is actually being watched and monitored, right? So now in the US, I really was like, okay, I can really see what I want to say, what I think.
More opportunities. Obviously, there's going to be more opportunities than there was for you in growing up in China, which is, incredible. And the fact that they taught you that in university and how to be you was really, you were just on the right path. It was synchronicity. It was the right time. It was the right course for you. Everything happens for a reason, and you've learned from it. What is one of the biggest lessons that you have learned so far in your life?
I think, from my experience, like going into finance and quitting my job, I think several lessons I've learned. First one is that you have to stay true to yourself. I really think authenticity is to just stand up for what you truly believe in.
Yeah.
Like when you follow your dreams and your passions, there is just this settling of the soul. You know what I mean? Like, I think when you're in a situation, like you just have to have enough self-respect and confidence to live life on your terms. If it doesn't feel right, you just get out there, change it.
Amazing. And you have done it. So talk to me and everyone that's listening about how, you decided, right, okay, Wall Street, I'm done. I have a deeper burning desire and passion to do something that's going to light me up.
Yeah, actually, after that, I was like staying on Wall Street for another 2-3 years because it was just such a difficult decision.
Even with that Monday morning blue, you just live with the Monday morning blue?
Even with that Monday morning blue, it's a very difficult decision for me to really leave my job and venture into entrepreneurship. But think this way, right? When I was growing up, like my whole family, they were terrified by the uncertainty.
Yeah.
We don't know what happens to us the very next day. Our fate is in the hands of Chinese Communist government. Our whole life was a pursuit of security, stability, and predictability, right? My dad, he had one job for his whole entire life. So does my mom. Nobody wants to have any changes. And the fear of unknown is actually the biggest fear of all.
And that went through into you, even though you're like the third generation of what's happened in the past.
Yeah, and that's really went into me. That is something deeply rooted in my heart. The thing about like fear of death is even one, the type of manifestation of fear of unknown, just because you don't know what's going to happen after you die. So it is really, really scary to me.
So you carried it on for 2 to 3 years, and then,
but it was it's a lot of like reflection, meditation, getting clarity of who I really wanted to become.
Yeah,
and to overcome.
Tell me about that. When you knew you wanted to do something, and you've just spoken then about the meditation and getting clarity. Was that already something that was part of your daily practice and routine, or was it something that you just fell upon?
It is. I always use my emotion as my feelings as one of my compass to see if I'm on the right path or not. Okay. So apparently, that drag I feel every morning when I go to work already signaled me that this is I'm not I'm not aligning with my true north.
And your energy is not high because you're not passionate about it.
Yes, my energy is getting lower and lower every day. I'm getting more negative about the whole environment that I'm in. So I know that I have to do something to change, but giving up security for possibility, and giving up that comfort that I have. I know that I'm getting paychecks every 2 weeks, and I know that I'm gonna get that fat bonus at the year end. It is very difficult because what's gonna happen to me? What if my business fail?
Yeah, and I think it's a question that every single entrepreneur asks, and that question has to come from, like you said, it's that deep meaning of the meditation and the manifestation. So I just want to flip back into that. What was it within that process? Did you do that meditation and manifestation for the next 2 years?
So it started while I was at business school. Like really it put me on a spiritual path back then to really look within. So I have been practicing meditation every single day in my past 8 years. Okay, amazing. So I actually cultivate this system about my decision making. It was actually very easy. 2 ways for me to make decisions. First is I just ask my question, hey, what would you do if you are not afraid? If you know that you cannot fail? Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to do this, I'll just go ahead and do it. And the other way is to really envisioning myself at my
love
deathbed, look back into my life and review every decision I've made. How do I feel about the decision? Right? I'm already at my deathbed. Do I feel like, hey, do I feel empowered? Do I feel content? Or do I feel sorry and guilty of me making that decision? So that's two approach. These two approaches really helped me made a lot of decisions. It gives me the clarity and help me focus on the bigger picture.
Amazing. And then you decided, you made the leap.
Yeah. And finally, I decided I'd make the leap. It was a very scary experience, but I made it.
And so when was that? What year was that you made that leap and decided to, and Azur Jewellery was born?
So the jewelry was established in 2016. At that time, I was still having my Wall Street job.
Okay.
But
so you kept it, you kind of did it parallel so that you weren't completely jumping in with both feet.
I started parallel just because I couldn't make up my mind which way do I wanted to go into.
Okay.
So during that period of hesitation and doubts, I was like, why don't I just start something and see how I feel about it? Mm-hmm. So I started, but with a very with a safe net that I can always fall back in.
Yeah.
I realized I was not able to bring the business to the next level just because I don't have the sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And the business,
because,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because it's kind of like, it's what is that hidden pitfall that with the business that it just literally prevents you from succeeding. And half the time, sometimes if you don't take the leap, like you say, you haven't got that sense of urgency. So you're not going to put everything into it because you kind of know you've got that buffer of the job and the bonuses coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a very safe environment for me. But I think entrepreneurship is all about like getting to the point of no return. That you have to make this work. Right?
There's no excuses. There's nothing else. There is no plan B.
Yeah, it has to be a sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
And sense of urgency that, hey, we're going to make this work and it will work.
So you were doing them side by side. So what happened with it? When did you do the complete jump?
So it was after 2 years. I was like, okay, in order to really bring my business to the next level, I think this has to be done. That I have to come to the point of no return and say, hey, this will work. Otherwise, my family will be impacted again. Yeah. So that was the time that I really take the leap of faith and start working on my own business and quit my job.
And that was it. That's it. There is no looking back. It is going amazingly. And talking about the business, I want to just kind of understand a little bit more about, the passion behind it was all started with that simple pair of earrings that was given to you when you were 18. And then, Azura was found. And what does Azura actually mean? Does it have a meaning behind the name? Was it a long thought out process to get that name?
Azura was actually a goddess that she has a star on her left hand and she has a moon on her right hand. And the stars and moon actually starts sparkling at the dawn time. So I think that was like a perfect symbolism of a jewelry brand. That it's a new beginning, when the sun start rising and everything starts sparkle.
I love that. And what about the designs? Who's the kind of brains and the mind behind the designs that you do? Because some of them are incredible.
Thank you. So I started designing our collection back then. It actually took about like 2 years to keep refining and defining our styles.
Yeah.
But now I was lucky enough to also have a friend of mine who studied design at Columbia University back then.
Okay.
She was actually helping me to bring what I was envisioning in my head into a computer-aided design called CAD. I don't want to get into too much terms here, but
yeah, you'll lose me with tech.
She was able to do that. And now she also joined a team to design lots of our jewelry collections.
That's incredible. I love that. And so that everything is ethically sourced, and then, you have them made locally. So does that help you keep a check on them and, know that everything is as you want it to be?
Yeah. So when I launched Azur Jewelry, I didn't want it to be just another jewelry brand. I wanted to be a purpose-driven business with a good cause. Yeah. Right. So every aspect of Azur Jewelry revolves around our core value to help women look and feel their best, to embrace their stories, milestones. And so our designs are designed, inspired by the life wisdoms from personal stories. And we also utilize ethically sourced sterling silver, natural precious stones that contain healing energies. We keep our price very affordable so that we can reach and inspire more women.
Talk to me about that, because I know that, when you said everything is affordable, but it has a purpose. Talk to me more about that purpose, because I love it and I know what that purpose is. And it's how you have reached out to other women to basically collaborate with you and make that difference possible.
Yeah, so the very interesting project I'm working on right now called Begin Your Story with Azura. Where we connect with the strong women around the world to share their stories and collaborate with them to create one-of-a-kind jewelry designs that symbolize their journey. So some stories are painful to the heart, but can turn into joy and purpose if we just adjust the lens a little bit. Yeah. So by telling their story behind each creation, we can pass on the message of empowerment to just connect and inspire more women. Because Azura founded on this belief that by sharing our struggles, our failures, and our losses, we are able to bypass the superficial difference on the surface, like skin colors, educations, religions, backgrounds, right? And to bond on a deeper level of humanity that we all share. Yeah. We all wanted to love and be loved. We all aspire to live a more fulfilled life. We all wanted to be happy. So the project in some way is that we're trying to transform this laughter and the tears into a tangible and beautiful piece of jewelry. And carrying what we have learned along the way to empower our customer, begin their new story.
And talk to me about the charitable aspect of it as well, because, there's some parts of this that's nonprofit.
Yeah, so we donate 5% of our profits. That's since the very beginning. Yeah, we do to the charity partners who help marginalized and disadvantaged women to get education and confidence. We sponsor 2 organizations. One is Women for Women International. They basically serve women in 8 different countries to offer support and tools, access to life-changing skills in order to help them getting out of poverty into stability.
Which is incredible.
Yes, and we also donate to this organization called Dress for Success.
What's that about?
So it is actually an organization, it's a non-profit organization. To help women achieve their economic independence. So they provide their professional clothing that they need to go to work, they need for interviews. They also have a network of support. They have this training and learning programs to help women really, really learn about what the skill sets that they need to create sustainable changes in their lives.
It's so needed. It's funny because, again, we spoke earlier on about how easy it could have been for you to go on the wrong path, given the fact that, where you were and told to keep quiet and carry on. But, something was within you already to think, no, okay, I'm going to do bigger and better things. But some women don't feel that they have that opportunity. So this charity you're part of here is amazing, because it is encouraging women that they can do that and they can be empowered to do it, to get out and get a job and get an education if they haven't had it.
Yes, that is the whole purpose of the Azur jewelry, that where we wanted to create, contribute values and meanings to the world, to really help women step out of their comfort zone and to create positive changes in their lives.
Yeah, it's incredible. And, with that, when you've done this now, how do you feel now that you overcame the fear of not starting completely 100% in the business?
I think, so for a period of time, I actually think I wasted a lot of time. I wasted at least 2 years. I should have just jumped off the bridge and do what I wanted to do. But on the other hand, now when I look back, as Oprah said, like, no experience is wasted, which is true, because that period of time actually forced me to go within and really look into the picture, that who I want to be and where I wanted to go, and what do I really wanted to do to contribute to this world. So it really a lot, practice to exercise my faith in my vision.
So if you could share any top tips with anyone that's listening about, having that biggest fear, what would you say to somebody else who is like you now, just kind of dabbling in on the side hustle, knowing that they've got some huge purpose and being able to contribute back to women in the world? What would you say to them right now if they were like, oh, I'll just do it when.
That is a very good question. I think we just need to be fearless, to be honest, because a lot of people wanted to stay close to the ground, right? That's where feels safe to us. If you fall, the fall doesn't feel too bad. But if you really fly high, and the fall can just kill you.
Yeah.
So, but ask your question, evaluate your intentions behind each action. Is that out of fear, or does it come from, passion and love? I think asking that question is always able to give you clarities and have you focus on the bigger pictures. I really believe opportunities rarely happens in your comfort zone. We really have to engage people and situations to get you where you want it to be. Yeah. So have the courage to step into the unknown, right? The growth and strength always lies on the other side.
Yes, totally.
Of the comfort zone.
What is one of life's biggest lessons that you could share with our listeners?
I think right now I would say don't compare yourself to others, because as I'm running this jewelry business, it is a very saturated market, and fashion business is always, in general, it's cutthroat. So I realize it's very easy to fall into the trap for me by continuously checking in to see what others in the space are doing and mimic what I think is working. Yeah. But that's really keeping my eyes on other people's journey, really pulls me from my authentic zone.
Yeah, it's comparison paralysis, isn't it, when that happens?
Yeah.
I think we're all a little bit guilty of that when we step out and look into somebody else's window and think, oh my God, they're doing this or they're doing that. And I should be doing that. And it's like, I think you really have to stay on your own path and be organic and be you and do what you are meant to do. Because if you're not doing what you're meant to do, somebody else is already doing that other thing. So don't compare it, like you say, just stay in your own lane. Amazing. Listen, I'm going to ask you one last question, because I know we've got we're stepping into just over an hour. So listen, I want to ask you, in comparison to where you were, the journey, the incredible journey that you've been through, now living in America, what does living your most vibrant life look like to you on a day-to-day basis right now?
I think it's to just create your own opportunities and own your journey, live the life on your terms.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Okay, that's amazing. And I just want to say thank you so much. I love everything that you're doing. And I just think it's going to get even bigger, even better, and just to bring more inspiration and empowerment to women around the world with what you're doing. Wearing beautiful jewelry is something that women have loved to do for thousands of years, and to know that it is ethically sourced, and you're giving back to the community by allowing people in your local area to make this for you as well, and you're not using kind of cheap labor from another part of the world that may not be as well looked after, and you're keeping it close to, and sharing that message of just being empowered, even if it's the smallest piece of jewelry that makes you feel special and creative. And I'm so happy that you were able to step into your creativity and your zone and your purpose, and that you are living your life that you once before never thought possible.
Thank you so much, Alison.
Thank you, darling. Have an amazing afternoon in America and New York City. And I do want to ask you, if we need to get a hold of you, which I know that many women will be wanting to check out the website, have a look at the jewelry, see how they too can contribute to that charitable cause by buying a piece of your amazing jewelry, then how can they get hold of you?
Yes, everyone can find me at Angela at azurajewellery.com. It's spelled as AZURA JEWELLRY. Azur Jewellery.
As in the goddess. As in the goddess.
Yes. As in the goddess. Exactly.
Okay. And website?
Well, the website is www.azura, AZURA, JEWELLRY.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I'm so looking forward to this being heard by so many, and many women reaching out and having an amazing piece of jewelry by you on their fingers, in their ears, and just inspiring, being inspired and feeling amazing. So thank you so much. It's been incredible to have you on here, and I'm so happy that you spent the time with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Alison.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much, darling. So I want to say a huge thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. I really am so grateful for all of you. We are so grateful for all of you that are tuning in, and that if you feel that you have got value from this podcast, if you feel that there's so much more that you want to hear, then please do go over to iTunes, leave a review, and share this episode with some of your best friends or people you know would also really get value from it. We only grow through you, and we're only here because of you. We want you to know that each and every woman out there, we are supporting you, we have your back, and we really want to bring you as much value as possible. So from all of us here at Vibrant Balanced Health, we want to say thank you so much for listening to us today. Your honesty is so important, and we really just want to help more and more women live their more vibrant life and create impact. And that only happens with your support and with your connection to share this message with thousands of women. So thank you so much for stopping in. And if you feel called to, please do pop on over, leave a review, say hi, leave your comments, let us know what you'd like to hear more of, and we will be sure to bring you even more value over and over again.